dice. Won't change your mind. Can't shake the light. I'll take the chance and roll the dice. Just wanna feel the stars surround. The atmosphere never to come down.
Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the best graphics, first of all, you've ever seen in your life. The very first ever Healthy Gamer Vodcast. My name is Rob Blankspace, also known as Don, and I'm being joined by my very good friend Gareth Harmer. Harmer?
Yep, that's it.
Awesome. Also known as Gazimoff. There are quite a lot of people we're really hoping to bring onto the show and talk about healthy gaming with. I guess the first place we'll start is tell us a little bit about yourself. We know you're a gamer. We know you're a healthy gamer. Go from there.
Okay, so I am 35, nearly 36. I'll be 36 next month, actually. I work in IT. I've been working in IT for, well, since I left university. And I've only been getting to the whole kind of healthy gamer thing for the last 2 years. I think it was back in October, November 2013 when I really started getting into it. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. All right, so first things first, we talk about gaming. If you had to pick a genre, with first-person shooters, MMOs, MOBAs, well, what's really your style? What do you really like? What do you really enjoy?
I play an awful lot of MMOs. I write for MMORPG.com. I write about WildStar, and I'll also be going out next week and covering Gamescom for them as well. So I'm really, really interested in that particular genre. But I tend to play all sorts. I play a lot of RPGs. I'm just playing Witcher 3 at the moment, working my way through that. So no spoilers in the chat room, please.
We started Witcher. We didn't finish it yet. So yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like, nope, delete, don't do it, because it's such a great story.
Definitely. I also really enjoy my first-person shooters as well. I'm a bit nervous about what they're doing with the Doom reboot, but we'll see how that one goes. But a good first-person shooter, I'm all over.
Awesome. Yeah, so we'll see you come play maybe some Team Fortress 2 or Counter-Strike sometime?
Oh, yeah.
All
TF2,
right.
I will be all up for that.
That sounds great. So we always describe Healthy Gamer, define it within, three real arenas: physical, mental, and spiritual. The physical part is something we'll definitely get into. What I really like to bring out for people is the mental and spiritual part. That's for me personally. For you, when you really talk about being a healthy gamer, is it more about the physical change? Is it more about the mental resilience? Is it more about connecting to the world around you spiritually with your emotions? Like, which of those would you say really gives you the biggest pull, or is the biggest part of like the changes you've seen in the last couple of years?
So I'd be lying if I said that the physical changes and the physical pull wasn't a significant part of what I've gone through and what I've improved on. But I think all three are interrelated, and they kind of mesh together like three cogs almost. You need to have a mental resilience and a mental strength in order to be able to want to go out there and change something. And you need to have some kind of comfort in yourself and your surroundings, that the path you're putting yourself on is something that you feel confident about and that you feel is the right thing to do. Otherwise, you won't get the physical changes and the progression that you want. You'll either give up, or you'll become demotivated, or you'll feel that it's the wrong thing to do, or you don't feel comfortable and confident in what you're doing. So I think you need to have all three working together in order to really get the results that you want.
Perfect. Yeah, I would agree. Some days it's definitely more mental for myself, but you do need all three. So let's dig into you 2 years ago, I do, for you folks that are they're watching, we're going to have a couple of pictures as we go here. So 2 years ago, you work in IT, and something changes for you. Bring us on that journey. What happened? What made you say, you know, I want to make a change? Where did that start? How did the change start?
Okay, so back in August, September 2013, I was looking at my job and feeling that I wasn't progressing anywhere. It was a bit of a dead end. Had hit a bit of a ceiling, and I wasn't feeling I was progressing anywhere. And I got offered voluntary redundancy, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to take the money and run. So I did.
Yeah.
At the same time, a friend of mine said, well, I've been trying out this new diet and it's working really well for me. And I think it could work really well for you. Do you want to give it a go? And I said, well, I've got nothing to lose. Sure, I'll give it a try and see how it pans out. I ended up getting a new job very shortly afterwards, which was fantastic. But I kept on with the diet, and I did it for something like 2 weeks. And I started losing weight. And I just stuck with the diet, and I kept on losing weight. I thought, this is strange. This shouldn't be working. And I did that for about a year. Then I started doing gym work as well, bringing that into the equation. And that's how we've ended up here.
Perfect. All right. Well, so I jumped the gun on it, but right here we have a picture of you a couple of years ago. I believe this was at a meetup for, I think it was WildStar, but this was you, and this was when you were beginning. Before you started your diet, you said you were approximately 140 kilos. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So this is me when I was, to put that in American money, that's 310 pounds.
Okay.
And that was when I was going to meet Jeremy Gaffney at Brighton, and we're going to talk about WildStar. And I was with a bunch of 4 or 5 other people from the community as well. And that's part of a wider photo, which is basically the whole bunch of us with Jeremy at the time. And I was a big guy. I was 140 kilos, 22 stone, as they call it in English money, 50-inch pair of jeans on there, and triple XL T-shirt.
Gotcha. Now, one of the things that I always find is that there is usually like something that it either inspires or makes you want to make that change. And for you, it just sounded like there was an opportunity, and you didn't have a reason not to. Would that be correct? Would I be correct in saying that? Like, someone's like, you should try this out, and you were like, well, I have no excuses. Yeah, sure, why not? Was it that, or can we dig a little deeper? Was there something else where you're like, you know, maybe it is about time I'd make a change? Was it just a very simple, I got no excuses, why not? Or is it something a little bit more?
Well, I tried other forms of dieting, and they'd never been successful. So your standard calorie counting, where you eat rabbit food and you feel miserable and you hate yourself. And I didn't want to go through that again. And so my friend recommended keto, which is a very low carbohydrate diet. And I read up on it. I treated it like a game. I did the theory crafting. I ran the numbers, and I said, well, does this actually make sense? Yes, it does. There's a whole weight of science to back it up. And I thought, well, if it's worked for all these other people, and there's a massive community on Reddit which had real examples of people who'd lost weight on it, well, maybe it can work for me as well. So that was the kind of, it felt like it was something that I could do and that I could see could work. And once I'd started on it, it was like, well, I don't feel hungry. I don't feel miserable. I'm eating steak, bacon, and cheese.
Yes.
I'm drinking double cream with my coffee, and I still feel happy. I have more mental acuity and mental agility. I feel quicker, sharper, more agile there. So it's improving me in my work. And I generally feel healthier. What gives? Is this some kind of weird alchemy that's going on? You know?
So not only did you take the time to research it, but you kind of made it a game for you. or you approached it like you do your gaming, which is what I feel I'm hearing from you is that, just like you would do in a game, you looked at it, you researched it, and you were like, well, this is the best rotation for life, so why don't I give it a go? It might work.
Yeah, definitely. And that's not to say that every diet is for every player or every person. And that's the same with gaming. You get different classes, different specs and stuff like that. And some people like playing the healer and some people like playing the tank. And some people like me enjoy killing everyone. And that's the same thing. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. The answer is to read widely, do research, and try new things. And you never know. The thing that you try might be the thing that works for you.
And it's really awesome to hear that you not only did you research it, but you tried it and you've seen such amazing results. I think you were telling me earlier, and for everybody that's watching, you started at around 310 pounds. And as of today, where are we checking in?
As of today, we are checking in at 198 pounds.
And there's a big change here too, because not only did you lose weight, but as we're going to get into, you were telling me you actually started going to the gym. It wasn't just a weight loss regime or regimen. You decided that I want to change my body in now a specific way, and not just lose weight, but then build muscle or whatever. So when did that change? When did you start looking into gyms? When was that, about a year ago or?
So that was back in October 2014. So about a year after being on the diet, I'd gone down from a 50-inch waist to a 40-inch waist, and I was about 110 kilos, so I was about 240 pounds.
Okay.
And I could see the charts starting to slow up. I was reaching the bottom of the curve, and I was thinking, well, if I'm going to keep my momentum going, I'm going to want to start doing something extra just to keep burning the calories, and also partly to start repairing the damage that I'd done to myself. So repairing the ligaments, the musculature, the skeleton, all those kind of bits and pieces, getting them moving again to try and go from just being thin to actually being healthy and mobile and agile and all those kind of things physically as well. So I started doing that, and just like I did with my diet, I theory crafted which gym was best for me as well. So
what does that mean for you? Specifically the gym part, like some people like gyms, some people like gyms that offer a lot of sports and activities. Some are very specific with their personal training in an MMA sense. As you looked around and you shopped around, where did you find yourself the most comfortable? Where did you end up landing?
So the first thing for me was a bit like when you try and select broadband from how close you are to the telephone exchange. Yeah, I know. I actually planned out my commute back and forth between the office in London and where I live, and looked at the gyms that were within walking distance from either end. And from there, I looked at which ones were likely to be open when I was out of work, out of the office. And then it was which ones are going to be available when I want to use them. So it was a case of finding a couple, then looking at ones that offered a free trial as well, so I could actually go in there, make sure it fitted my lifestyle, fitted my approach, and could become a habit. And that's the key thing, because once you've done something for about a month and it sets in, it becomes habit forming, and you feel compelled to go, and you get a bit upset and cranky if you don't.
Yep.
So I wanted to make sure it could become habit forming quite quickly. And so there were about 3 or 4 on my shortlist, and there was one in particular that's right next to the train station, so I can't walk home without walking past it and feeling guilty.
Perfect.
And it's open 24 hours a day, so I've got no excuse if I've pulled a late shift at the office for just saying, it's too late, I might as well go home. Because it's open all the time, and do I actually have it on me? No. I have a key ring that lets me in anytime I want to, which is fantastic. And that's what let me in today, to do my workout earlier. But And it was all those things. They don't have a pool. They don't have a huge number of classes. They do some classes, but they don't do a huge number. But what they do have is a real sense of community and family and being supportive and helpful and stuff like that. So whatever your goals are, they want to help you succeed. And that was the key thing for me. I felt really welcomed and immersive, even though I was really starting out and I was still trying to lose weight. I didn't look very good. I wasn't very healthy. I was, and stuff like that.
Well, what I will add here is for anybody who might be watching this on YouTube or watching this live, what I want to tell you is when you're out there and you're shopping around, you really want to find a place that is comfortable for you. Like as you said, it's the environment. I've been to all sorts of different gyms, and I actually consider myself kind of like a gymaholic. I like to find different ones, like a little meeting, and check them out. They all have their different flavors, but I still always have my home gym, you know, where everybody, it's like my cheers, you know, everybody knows my name, we go in, it's the same people, it's the same folks. If you want to be successful, you want to go in, find a place where they have what you're looking for. If you need a shower, don't settle for a gym that doesn't have one. You know, but don't also get pulled into a lot of, some gyms will have some marketing things for you. Hey, this is a cheap gym. Come on in. We've got pizza Fridays and we've got ice cream social Sunday, and we've got those sort of gyms are just looking to get your money, and they're not really fully there to help you. They're just there to take the dollar bill. So I wanted to make sure that I made that distinction. Now, granted, if you're somebody like myself or Gareth here, and you're using a gym like that because it's $5 a month and you can go do some quick cardio, absolutely fine. But make sure that the ends justify the means, that you're not like, I got this great gym, it's $10 a month, but I never go. Or the only time I go is on social, you know, ice cream social Sunday. You know, that's not helping you go anywhere forward. You want to make sure you find a place that fits you. And free trial. Can't beat that. Go in, check it out, you know, give it a couple weeks, give it a month, and then sign up from there. So tell us a little bit about your gym. Is it a lot of free weights? Is there does it got turf, artificial turf? Is there a place for like MMA stuff in the back? Is there a huge spin room? And what do you do with your gym?
Okay, so it's a small gym, which is what I like really. It's not one of these places that you can get lost in. And because of that, it tends to bring people together. So on the quieter days, you don't get one person at one end and one person being lost at the other. Mm-hmm. So it's very focused on health training, weight training, and cardio training. It has a small studio where they do some classes, but it's normally kind of like the 6 to 8 person plus the instructor kind of thing. Yeah. It's not a huge 30 person thing. So even the classes are you're getting good quality tuition with them.
Yeah.
The setup itself, you've got a load of resistance machines, you've got a fair amount of free weights as well, and a couple of squat racks and stuff like that, and you've got a lot of cardio, and the cardio machines have built-in TVs, so you can go on a treadmill, sit on a bike, go on a cross trainer, and watch TV as you're doing your exercise. And there's even a slot for you to plug in your headphones or your iPod if you want to listen to your own music. So that's all really nice. When I started off, I was using the resistance machines, which are basically a series of cables hooked to a weight, and then you're just pushing against a couple of plates or against a couple of grips. They're great to start you off with, but the machine does a fair amount of the work in terms of coordinating how your arms or how your legs or whatever move. Yeah. So the amount of development that you get is limited. It's a great start though, and it's not worth overlooking. And for me at the time, it was really good to build that solid foundation. From there, I was also doing a bit of cardio as well. So I'd leap on a bike and do about 20 minutes of cardio to help burn some calories. From that, I've now started incorporating a lot more free weights into my training. I've met up with a personal trainer. I've revamped my program. I now do a lot of weightlifting as part of my regime, and I do very little cardio. Part of that's because I'm now walking to work. So I walk about 7 kilometers a day. So I don't need to get my cardio in the gym because I'm getting it outside the gym.
Perfect.
But I am doing a lot of weight training. So I will do arms and abs one day, I'll do chest and back another day, and I'll do legs and shoulders a third day. So it only takes 3 days a week out of my schedule, and I'm only in the gym for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours tops if I want to grab a shower or what have you afterwards.
Gotcha. So, sorry, no, go ahead.
No, you go.
It sounds like you started off, you tried a diet, you lost a lot of weight, and then you continued that momentum forward and you got into the gym. So let's talk about the goals. You know, everyone's goals are different. Are you, and for viewers who may be watching, we're going to lump these into 3 different groups just to make it a lot easier. When you go to work out, go to a gym, there's normally 3 different big schools. You're either doing bodybuilding sort of training, you're doing like a strength conditioning, which is between those 2 worlds, and then at the other end there's conditioning, and they're very, very different. So what I would ask you is, you know, you're going to the gym now. When you first started, where would you say, you know, did you start, like, just you decided you wanted to do bodybuilding, and where are you now, and where do you think you're going to be in the future with your goals? Well, where are you aiming for?
Okay. Well, again, it's a bit like treating it like a game. So when you start off playing a new MMO, for example, your first goal is, right, I want to hit level cap. And for me, the equivalent to that was, I want to get a baseline of health.
Yeah.
So I'll do a bit of resistance machine work and I'll do a bit of cardio until I have a solid baseline of health. But you get to level 60 or whatever, and you think, well, what are my options now? Do I want to go into PvP? Do I want to go into dungeons? Do I want to go into raiding? And that was what I saw. I could either start doing a lot of endurance work and doing cardio and having cardio being my life. But I knew that wasn't for me because I find cardio a bit boring.
Don't we all?
Well, there are some people who like to zone out and they find it very meditative and very tranquil to just go on a treadmill and go for hours. And really, I have hats off to them. No, seriously, hats off to them. But for me, it was never about training strength for combat or for martial arts or for boxing or anything like that. For me, it was training strength to see how good I could make myself, how far I could push myself, what kind of strength and inner strength could I develop. Because I'm 6'2" tall. I used to play rugby second row. I used to be a strong guy.
Yeah.
And now I'm 35, 36. What's going to be the difference now? What's going to be the challenges now with trying to get that? So that was kind of my goal. Okay, let's get stronger. Let's get toned. Let's start trying to put some weights on. Let's try to put some muscle on. Let's try and get a bit ripped. All those kind of bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So I don't just look like skin and bone. I look like I've actually got a bit of definition there. So
good. I gotta say this because I forgot to do this earlier. We do have to do our health disclaimer, and when this goes on YouTube, there'll be a little thing. Just so you know, it is your right to educate yourself in health and medical knowledge, to seek helpful information, make use of it for your own benefit. You're the one responsible for your health. The information on this podcast is designed for educational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for informed medical advice or care. You should not use this information to diagnose or treat any health problems or illnesses without consulting your family doctor. Always consult your physician or healthcare professional before performing any exercise or making any changes in your eating habits, especially if any chronic or recurring condition or if you're pregnant, nursing, or elderly. Bam. So, that being said, I wanted to go back a little bit here. So we've talked a little bit about the journey. We've talked a little bit about the changes. Gonna put this picture up here of what I'm calling Gaz muscles from you at the gym the other day. Tell me about the diet. It's meat, it's cheese, it's bacon. Why is the whole world not doing this? I mean, I've heard of it. We've talked at length. My nutrition plan is literally made by a nutritionist at the VA. But keto is amazing. And there are times when I will go strict keto myself, depending on what my training goals are. Tell us what it was, tell us a little bit about what it is working and having this diet. And then maybe even in the future, what it was to work out with this diet. So,
okay, so the key thing for me to start off with was trying to understand a bit more about myself and about my family and about the genetic cards that I've been dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole reasoning behind moving to a low carb diet is based around something called insulin responsiveness. Now, this is a little bit like people who could eventually become diabetic. And my dad's got type 2 diabetes. So I knew there was something lurking in my family there that didn't like how carbohydrates were treated in the body. If you've got a natural sensitivity to insulin, your first reaction when eating some carbohydrates, particularly bread or beer or stuff like that, or sugar, is to whack it straight into fat stores, which is not good. It doesn't go to replacing muscles. It doesn't just get processed and pushed out the other end. It goes into fat, which is great if you need to lay down fat for winter or for cold weather or for stuff like that, which is, well, me being pasty skinned and with blonde hair, you can imagine the kind of Viking dude who would want to be able to do that as a genetic advantage. But when you've got bread being thrown at you every single mealtime, it becomes a disadvantage and you start piling on the weight. So the idea is you go back to what works on a very basic level. And it's like we hunted the mammoth. You skewer your mammoth, you cut your mammoth open, you put the mammoth on the fire, and then you take the huge slabs of meat and mammoth fat and stuff like that, and you cram it down your mouth. And it works. So I eat meat, I eat cured meat, I eat not fresh as in raw meat, I eat raw fish, but that's the whole sashimi thing. But I'll eat cooked meats, grilled meat, steak, bacon, stuff like that. I will eat cheese. I'll eat a fair bit of cheese. Blue cheese, cheddar, you name it. And I'll eat green leaf salads, so rocket, lettuce, all those kind of bits and pieces, broccoli, cauliflower. In fact, cauliflower mash with a bit of cheese is really, really good. Mm-hmm. All of that. And I'll also eat coleslaw as well, because that's generally low in carbs. But I'll stay clear of sugar. I'll stay clear of full fat sodas. I won't have bread. I won't have pasta. I won't have potatoes. I won't have beetroot, all those kind of things which are high in carbs. Yeah. I tend to avoid. It means when we have pizza takeout, all I'll do is scoop the toppings off the top of pizza and eat that and just leave the pizza bread. Mm-hmm. And people are looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like eating the best bits off the pizza. Sod the slice of cardboard that it comes on.
Right.
And that's what it's like. If I go out for lunch, then I will get a pack of sliced ham and a small bag of Baby Bell cheese or some other small bit of cheese and a bottle of sparkling water, and I'll have that for lunch and I will be fine. And because it's meat and fat or protein and fat, it's very naturally satiating. You don't feel hungry. You eat less instinctively as a result. And because of that, you lose weight, but you don't feel miserable or cranky or upset or hungry all the time or any of those things, because you're not trying to wait for your next carb fix. You're not craving your next bit of sugar. It's that kind of thing. And it's been fantastic. It's been absolutely fantastic.
So it sounds like satiating, easy to stick to. I mean, who doesn't want to eat just the topping off the pizza? Like right now, I'm just like, so after this, can I go get some pizza before I do the stream? Like, that sounds good. But tell us a little bit. With everything, there's always the challenging part. What was the downside? What is the challenging part for somebody who's like, man, this sounds great. Keto sounds awesome. What do they need to know? What are some of the downsides to be aware of when deciding to make this sort of a lifestyle change?
So there are two issues. First of all, the diet isn't for everyone, and it's well worth reading up on both the pros and the cons before you go into it. I've got to be honest, a lot of the help and support that I got were initially from Reddit. There's a huge keto resource on Reddit, but also from other areas on the net as well. There's one called Caveman Keto who talks about diet tips, but also shares recipes as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's expensive as well. If you're going from processed foods and breads with every meal on carbs and stuff like that to meat and cheese, your lunchtime cost will go from $3 to $6 easily.
Yeah.
You end up looking at ingenious ways to reuse leftovers or to make meals where you're likely to have leftovers. So I will do a bolognese. I won't have spaghetti with it, but I'll do the bolognese with mince and a little bit of tomato and chopped pepper rather than having kidney beans or anything in it. And I'll make sure that there's leftovers so that I can take them for lunch the next day. So it's little things like that to try and keep the costs down. It's also things like if you're looking for cheap alternatives to meat, there's a grocery store in the UK called Iceland, which specializes in frozen foods. And that's all it does. And they were doing ostrich burgers, slabs of ostrich meat ready for putting in a burger for barbecue season.
Yep.
And they were so cheap. And it's like, well, I'm not proud. I'll eat it.
Why not?
And it's not bad, Yes, you're eating a quid's worth of meat, but I'm not going to complain about it. It's still protein at the end of the day. The other thing that really surprised me with bringing on the gym stuff as well is you get to that point where you start thinking, well, I need to start taking protein shakes, and you start obsessing over the metrics and values in the protein shakes as well. Like, and that's a big deal, like finding one that's high in protein but low in carbs and stuff like that. So other things to be aware of: you will need to drink water, that is.
Yes.
You can't drink beer. You can drink spirits, so I still drink whiskey, but you will find that you get a bit thirstier, and you need to keep a bottle of water with you at times. You will also have, if you're not careful and you get your balance of nutrients incorrect, you will get keto breath, which is bad.
Keto breath. Tell us about what it sounds like. Halitosis, but worse. What is keto breath?
It's basically halitosis, but not caused by any kind of bacteria that you've eaten. It's just basically when you are on a diet, it's all to do with how you break down food into energy. If you're eating carbs, then you will break down carbs into sugars, sucrose, glucose, energy. If you break down fat, you break down fat into ketones, which again can provide energy. And it's the whole process of exhaling ketones, which is not pleasant. It can smell a bit. So having a little bit of sugar-free gum, real good quality tip there. The other thing is that if you get it really bad and you start burning protein for fuel, protein gets broken down into acetones, which smell like either nail polish remover or like you're drunk. And that's, first of all, an indicator that you're not eating enough fat and you need to increase the fat intake. But also, it's a really bad thing to have. So again, a little bit of nail polish and a little bit of sugar-free gum, and you're fine.
Perfect. Listen, I'm going to be honest here. I'd rather have some guy in the gym with keto breath than the guys that walk around with the really bad protein and it's coming out the other end. And you're like, oh, God, what is that? Oh, that's terrible. Dude, please do us a favor. Get some better protein. I know you probably bought that from Walmart, but the rest of us don't appreciate that smell because we can smell it. It's bad, man, So. Oh,
man. Yeah, protein farts. If you're eating low-grade minced beef for every meal that's been sliced with God knows what, and you start farting the results of that, man, you could strip paint.
It's bad. We got a couple of bad people at my gym. It's man. All right, so get off the fart train, back onto another one here. So sorry. Some of the people linked a bunch of stuff whether it was I linked your Imgur that showed you through time, and there was the Reddit post. We will try to have those collected up for the YouTube. One of the things that I wanted to have you share, because you mentioned to me about your friend, that I've also shared. I started helping a buddy of mine lose weight, going to the gym, doing it right, changing his diet, and a couple months, it's literally been maybe 4 months now, he's lost like 30 pounds. And the sense of pride that he has in himself is cool. But when you walk into somebody and they have that, like, that face, you have a story like this. You were just telling me about it. Like, you ran into somebody who was like, Gareth, how are you? Tell us about that. I want to hear about the person you haven't seen in a while that walks up and is like, hey. So tell us, how did it happen? Where was it?
Yeah, so I was working late one evening, and it gets to about 10 to 6 at night, and I'm just about to check out from the office, and I'm walking out, and I hear a voice that sounds familiar, so I peek around the corner, and it's a friend that I haven't seen since I took that redundancy back in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
and she's there for an interview, and it's like, hi, how are you doing? And she said like, oh my God, you look amazing. And it's like, thank you so much. And we talked, she asked me, how did you do it? What's your secret?
Right.
It's like, you know, Indiana Jones and the chalice scene. It's like, what's your secret?
Everybody always wants to know, right?
And it was like, well, I ate steak, bacon, and cheese. And they're like, are you taking the piss? And it's like, no, seriously. Steak, bacon, and cheese. And yeah, she was like, God, you look completely different. And part of me, so I look back at who I was, and yes, I've changed physically, but I don't think I've changed as a person mentally. I am still the same geeky guy, the same person who plays video games until crazy o'clock in the morning and stuff like that. I'm still that person. I just try and look after myself a bit better as well, and I have other things that I incorporate into my life to try and stay healthy and to try and prolong it and to try and look a bit better. And I'm kind of amazed with how far it's come, but I can't let it go to my head, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why? What's the I would say that I would dare say that there's a fine line, but do you look at it as you want to try and stay humble on your journey? Like what is that? What is that line for you?
I think it's very easy to say like, yes, I have done a lot of work. I am now awesome. When it's like, well, no, I'm not awesome. I'll tell you another joke. So a friend of mine said, hey, you always go to these comic cons and stuff like that. You could do cosplay. And it's like, well, I've always fancied doing cosplay. Like, yeah, you could do Superman now with your chest and your pecs and stuff like that. It's like, oh, first of all, Superman's American and I'm British, so that wouldn't work. It's like, what am I going to do? And we're talking about doing the whole like shirt ripping open thing, and it's like, what am I going to do? Call myself excellent chap rather than Superman? And it just snowballed from there. We started riffing on it, saying, okay, I was like, rip my suit open. Do you mind? This is tweed.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Gazzy, and I got a picture here somewhere, likes to be very, very, the word is dapper, I've been told. Not pish-posh or whatever. It's, this man goes out and looks nice. Like, I go out and look nice with a t-shirt and some shorts. This guy goes out and looks like he's going to go hang out with James Bond somewhere, you know? But I digress. Yes, I think that is just seeing you ripping it open. Oh, this is tweed. My bad.
I love how your attempt at a British accent.
It's terrible, isn't it?
It's like you're playing Assassin's Creed, the new one that they're setting in London.
Isn't that how you guys all sound? No? Josie always makes fun of me. She's like, "This is terrible. You should stop." And I'm like, "Isn't that how you guys all sound? It's how I hear it in the movie." She's like, "No."
Well, Josie's American as well, so.
Okay, so
But yeah.
we did. We talked about the diet. We talked about the changes. How about a little bit more about how about the struggles? Because like right now, are you full keto? Are you where are you at right now in your training cycle and your diet?
So right now I am on the cut. So
Mm-hmm.
for those who aren't familiar with it, once you start getting to a plateau, there are two ways you can, or there's pretty much one way that you can build muscle, unless you're some kind of genetic superhuman, in which case I am deeply envious.
Mm-hmm.
You either eat a surplus of calories, and some of that will go to muscle and some of that will go to fat, or you eat a deficit of calories in an attempt to preserve the muscle that you've got, but remove all the fat that you've built up at the same time. And I'm currently going through a cut.
Yeah.
It is a struggle because you go to the gym, you try and find the energy, and you might have enough energy to do 3/4 of your workout, but trying to battle through the rest of it is hard. And that's the kind of thing. You feel tired, you feel worn out. You've got two other people in the gym and you don't know either of them, and they're looking at you thinking, what is this old guy doing? And I'm there trying to either pull down this massive weight or something, and it's like, please, I'm just hanging on with my fingers. And that's hard, and it's a struggle because there's no one to motivate you. You need to motivate yourself. And unless you've got that mental strength and that resilience that we talked about before, you won't. You'll say, right, I'm tired, I've done my bit, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Not, I'm tired, I've done my bit, but I still need to do more. So you might get tired, but you know that you've got to go and you've got to do a bunch of ab crunches. You know that you've got to do some dips. You know that you've got to do some squats before you can go home. Otherwise, you won't get the benefit of what you're trying to achieve. And that's hard. I am looking forward to when the flip side comes and you start trying to pile on both the fat and the muscle at the same time. But again, on keto, that's hard as well because the diet's naturally satiating and because you naturally feel full, you have to force yourself to eat more than you want to in order to put the muscle down. Otherwise, you'll be doing all the work, but you won't get all the muscle. And it's a real struggle to think, no, I need to eat more to bulk up a bit.
Right. For people that are uninitiated, they probably are like, oh, wow, I'm going to have more food? Like, I thought I wanted less food. I found that one of the struggles that I have explaining to people, especially people I've just started training, is that dietary fat doesn't always necessarily mean body fat, or explaining things like sugar can go in and become body fat. It's not just the word fat on a label to them. And then once they start to understand those things, then it's to the point where you're at now, where it's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? It's really where the guy I've been training, I'm like, what do you want to do? He's like, I want to bodybuild. And I'm like, you got a lot of work to go if that's what you want to do. Like you're looking at some hard training. But and I hope this is the same in your experience. What I've found, especially with training people now personally, and for myself, if I push myself, one of the little, anthem themes that I keep saying is just one more. Like if I could do 3 pull-ups and I try to do 4, eventually I'm going to. But if I just say 3 is good, you're gonna be stuck at 3. If you quit, you leave it there. Is that the same for you? Like you're like, all right, I know I pulled, I did this pull last time I did 100 pounds, so I'm gonna put 5 more pounds on. And that's going to be good, and I'm going to keep building from there. Is that sort of the same mentality that you got going on for you at the gym?
Yeah, so one of the things I will do is drop sets. So I could do, say, 10 reps, 10 movements with one bar that's, say, 30 kilos. But that doesn't help me progress. And the next bar up is 35.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll grab the 35 kilo bar. Instead of doing my normal set of 10 reps,
Yep.
I will squeeze out as many as I can.
Yep.
And then when my arms are tired and my muscles are screaming, I will put the 35 down. I will pick up the 25
Mm-hmm.
and I will do more until my arms are saying, my God, what are you doing? Are you nuts? And then I will rest. And it's that drop set technique which I find pushes me through a bit, because it then means that I can do, if I keep at it with that heavier bar, I'll be able to do more and more and more. And it's very, very effective. The other one is supersets. So I might grab a heavy bar and do one exercise, and then I will put it down and go straight onto another machine without any rest,
Mm-hmm.
and work the alternative muscles. And that pushes a lot of blood into the muscle group, which is great for trying to build muscle, but it also is a really hard exercise.
It's those are the times when you're really pushing yourself, for sure. What do you got to tell yourself? How about this? I always like to ask people's motivations here. I like to use both sides of the pendulum. It's very much, okay, positive. Like, if you do this, like, there's another guy that I train. I'm like, imagine if you do this, you're going to go home and your wife's boobs are going to be 2 cup size bigger. And, like, they laugh. But then, like, you think about it, it's just something funny and positive. Get your mind shifted. And then sometimes we use negative, like, hey, man, if you don't do this, something terrible is going to happen. Like, both of those can be mutually beneficial when you're at the gym. Do you find that you use one more than the other? Is there, any tricks that you use? Like, is it mostly positive? Like, man, I'm awesome, dude. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be so awesome. They're going to want to make a British Captain America. Like, is that what it is for you, or is it more like, man, if I don't do this, I'm gonna have diabetes tomorrow if I don't do one more pull up? Like, which one works best for you? And do you have an example of, sometimes at the gym where you're like, man, I got to do one more, and you used it?
So sometimes it's looking at how far you've come. Mm-hmm. So I always look at it as a journey, and sometimes I look back down the road and I look at that picture that you were showing earlier of the guy in the pink shirt, yep, and looking like a bit of a dork, and I was thinking, that is how far I've come, and I have been fantastic at getting away from that and to where I am now. And I will look at other people in the gym and I will think, there is this kid who is doing bench presses and he's got 45 pounds on, including the bar. And I'm like there with 150 pounds on the bar. It's like, yeah, I feel pretty damn awesome about that. Because
just so you know, you absolutely should. And I want viewers to understand this too. Like, if you're putting in the effort and the work, doesn't matter the number. All that matters is the effort. And what I'm hearing here is a couple kids were herp-derping around, and Garrett sits down and says, I'm going to put all into it, and did it. You should absolutely be proud of that. Whether it's that one more minute, one more rep, or that bigger plate. So, as you're saying, man, go ahead.
So there's a great saying which I heard only a couple of weeks ago, and that is, "Don't count every rep, make every rep count."
Yeah.
And I think that's a really strong one in terms of how you look at exercise, not to just try and blitz through it easily, but to work the muscles as hard as you can and make it as challenging and as reasonable as you can. And whether that's when you're bench pressing, taking the bar all the way down until you can really feel it start to hurt and the muscles are starting to cry at you, and then pushing it back up and really feeling it and bringing that strength from every single part of you to push that bar back up, and then doing it again and again until you literally cannot do it anymore. And then you take a break for 90 seconds or so, and then you lie back down and you do it again. And I think that that's one way of doing it. But the other thing to look at on the flip side, like you said, is I'm not getting any younger. And there is a real sense of both mortality and legacy that kind of hovers over me like a spectre. Mm-hmm. And yes, I could get mortally wounded in a train accident or something, and that could happen. But touch wood, if I manage to keep going, how long am I going to be able to keep going for? And what can I do to keep myself going longer? What can I do to ensure that I'm there as the rest of my family grows up around me,
Right.
to give them encouragement, motivation, guidance, and stuff like that where I can. Because I want to be that kind of eccentric, cranky old guy in the corner of the room with absolutely no dress sense whatsoever, because he's still stuck in the year 2000s when everyone's off with their flying cars and their hoverboards and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's still got the ringtone from the old Apple iPhone when everyone's got their latest whatevers. And yeah, I want to be that guy. I'd like to be able to get there so I can be that guy. I don't want to be the guy who gets to 50 then dies of a heart attack. And I've seen that happen too many times.
The legacy part. One of the guys at my gym, 50, 53, 54 something, and he works out. It's that same drive. It's that fire. You can tell the difference. We call it the three setters who come in. They do 3 sets of 10 to say they did it. Check into Facebook and they're out. Like, went to the gym today, did my class, and I'm out. This guy's 53 and he works real hard. And we were chatting one day, in between sets, and he's like, "You're lucky, kid, because I didn't start doing this until I was 50, and it wasn't because his uncles and some of his friends heart attacks, stuff like that." And he's like, "I'm behind the curve. You're going to be all right." And to be 30 and to be getting into this now, I've kind of lived it my whole life, but not the same way. I used to be a 3-setter. I used to just go to the gym, do my deal. I'd go for my 2-mile run. That was it. The mentality really changes when you have a different perspective, wherever it comes from, whether it's yours is your journey, mine was my back and my daughter, whatever it is that makes that change. When you're able to continue and be like, I want to be around and I want to be healthy, and 10, 20 years from now, I want to feel as good as I can, as healthy as I can, and not be plagued with things, That really struck me, the legacy part. So thanks for sharing that.
One of the things that you notice, Blank, is as you get older, there are more people around you that die.
Yeah.
And going to funerals and putting people into the ground or putting them into the furnace is a hard thing. And you know that one day, whether you like it or not, it's going to be your turn. Mm-hmm. And some people will just kick back and let chance roll the dice for them. But I tell you something, when death comes for me, I want to be there ready to rip his fucking nuts off.
I believe they say cheers. Cheers, mate. I'll raise my my ice water to you, sir, because I am absolutely the same way. My old man battled cancer a couple of years back, and that was one of those, in your life, those things where you just sit back and, it's time for some change. And so we're getting here towards the end of our time. So I wanted to go over a couple more things with you folks in case you came in late. This is Gareth Harmer. He's from the UK, also known as Gazimoff. He's got a blog. It's manaobscura.com. He'll get linked in here, and it'll both be on YouTube. He is a healthy gamer, both in the way he lives and by definition. Started a keto diet about 2 years ago. He weighed about 308 pounds. Started with a 50-inch waist. Now running around with a skinny 36-inch waist. He shared his story on Reddit, and he shared his story today. He went from just an IT guy, kind of going through life, and it sounds like now he's got quite a different drive. And thank you for sharing your story, and for being here, and thank you for being another healthy gamer story that's out there. There's so many out there, and I'm glad you could be the first one I could grab to put together to do this. There's so many of them out there, whether it's a physical change, some people's have been an emotional life change. But they're all really cool stories that should be shared, and I'm glad you took the time to come hang out and tell us yours. Floor is yours, man. If you got anything you want to say, tips, tricks, blank, shut up, we're done. Whatever you got left, brother, the floor is yours.
All I'll add to that is to thank you very, very much for the opportunity to speak to everyone about this. And I just hope it inspires other people to do the same thing. That's all I can ask for.
Absolutely. Well, for those of you who are hanging out, there will be a sub-Sunday stream after this. Hopefully we'll have some more of these, trying to catch more special guests. Thank you again, Gazi, for coming on the show. And I wish you all the luck, and I hope to share some more interesting stories on Skype about our gym adventures. And I'll catch up with you as soon as I turn this off. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.